Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be talking about what I think of the new Apple products such as the iPod Touch, the Nano, the new iPod Shuffle, the Apple TV, and iTunes 10 and Pink. Well, what I think about the iPod Touch is basically Apple has done it so that this iPod Touch is just like an iPhone, except it's not a phone. And what people are now going to be thinking is that should I really get an AT&T contract and get an iPhone, or can I just get an iPod Touch with the FaceTime camera, with the back camera so I can just send photos to my friends? Or because all the iPhone is basically now just a phone. Like my 3GS is basically what I use for my main as my main iPod, my main phone, and anything I use on the road. But what I think about the iPod touches is like I would like to have an iPhone 4, but I'm perfectly happy with my iPhone 3GS. But this iPod Touch, however, has the front-facing camera and the back camera, so I can FaceTime with some of my friends who have an iPhone 4, and I can just easily, basically, I can see this little flip camera. I can show them where I am, so it's just like the FaceTime on the iPhone 4. And it's also got the Retina display, which is the highest definition display in any smartphone. It's got great Game Center, which the iPhone 4 so far does not have. It's also got the HD video recording like the iPhone, and it's relatively cheap for not having to get a contract on it. For just to get 32 gigabytes, you have to pay $299, which is I think the exact same amount as what you have to pay to get 32 gigs on the iPhone 4. I'm, and like Apple is still selling their iPhone 3GSs like they did last time when the 3GS just came out, which they always do just to give people a cheaper alternative. See the 32 over here? It's the exact same price as the iPod Touch 32 gig. And what I think about the new Nano is they took the iPod Touch design and they miniaturized it. And what that did was both good and bad. Because because for one, now it's smaller, so people with for one thing, people who are nearsighted are gonna have a little bit of a harder time. They're gonna be staring at it like this, and they took out the camera feature they had on the Nano. See right here, they replaced it with this clip, and it's a good idea for the clip because it's basically now a shuffle with a screen, and you got the multi-touch feature on it, which is pretty nice. They got an 8 gig and a 16 gig, which is basically just $30 extra uh, to get double the memory. So I would recommend everybody get a 16 gig of these if you're thinking about getting a new iPod Nano. And it's great because for one, they miniaturized it enough so that it's good enough for people to see the screen as well as people to just kind of put in their pocket and not even notice it. I mean, I think it weighs like barely 3/4 of an ounce, so like 21.1 grams. That's nothing. And as for the new iPod Shuffle, they basically took the original iPod Shuffle design and they made playlist work on it, and they also put voiceover on it, which is nice for iPod Shuffle users. And they kept the same low price on an iPod Shuffle, which is $49, and they gave people 2 gigs of memory now. And as for the Apple TV, it's great in a sense of miniaturization and streaming. However, it's not as good because how small it is, it does not have a hard drive now. like it says right here, it's 80% smaller than previous generation, even with built-in power supply, which is really good in the sense of if you really want something that small, you should get it, but it's not going to have the 160 gig hard drive like the original Apple TV did. And as for the iTunes 10 and Ping, I had a chance to actually play around with iTunes 10, and I really think it just feels complete now. Even with this new kind of Facebook, or I should say more like Twitter, for iTunes 10, it's great because you can follow your favorite artists and you can just see what new albums they released, what they like, even though you could originally just go search store over there and just do that pretty easily. But it's just a nice new feel to iTunes 10. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been McLovin Apple, and have a great day.